Welcome to our lesson on biscuits and cookies. I'm going to walk you through making lovely lemony butter biscuits, and I'll also give you all the tips and tricks you need to know to make really cute cookies at home. There's another really helpful ratio involved when it comes to making simple butter biscuits, and that's 3 parts flour, 2 parts butter, and 1 part sugar. So basically that means I would need 300 grams of flour, 200 grams of softened butter, and then 100 grams of caster sugar. Add in our sweet caster sugar confetti. Just to make life a little bit easier for the mixer, I'm just roughly chopping the butter into cubes. And then one of my favorite things to add into simple biscuits is a little bit of lemon zest. It really adds a nice freshness. And you can flavor with whatever you like. You can use cinnamon or cardamom or even lavender as well. Or rosemary is also really, really nice in simple cookies. So I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of freshly grated lemon zest. I always find that it's best to add the flavorings along with the butter and sugar so that when you cream them together, it's really nicely incorporated. So now we just head over to the mixer. Now we need to just gently cream these together. And just a little pinch of salt. And obviously if you're using salted butter, then you don't need to add an extra pinch of salt. I sometimes find that baking very sweet cookies like chocolate chip cookies using salted butter adds a really nice bite. Now I'm just scraping down the sides of the mixing bowl just to make sure that all the butter and sugar is included. And then we're ready to add in our 300 gram flour. And I have a little bit of cold water on standby to add in 1 or 2 tablespoons if I need to, just to bring the dough together. Then I'm just scraping down again and also scraping down any extra butter that's just sitting on the paddle attachment, just to make sure that nothing gets left out. And it's starting to take on the texture of breadcrumbs now, which means the butter's working through the flour and it's starting to come together. Just having a little gentle feel to see if I push together that it does stay in one incorporated ball of biscuit dough. So there's probably enough moisture and I probably don't need to add extra water. Knead the dough until it just comes together. And then what I like to do is place the dough between 2 sheets of baking paper and roll it out and then put it in the fridge to chill so that the glutens can relax. And then a chilled dough also means that your biscuits don't spread as much while they're baking in the oven. At this stage, I could also divide this dough in half and put half of it in the freezer to save it for the next time that I need instant biscuits. Probably use half just for space. And roll it out. And just turn the baking paper from time to time so that you roll it out in a kind of circle. This recipe is actually a similar formula to what you would use for shortbread biscuits, which have a very, very high butter content, which gives them a really light crispness. And if you add in darker sugars like demerara sugar or honey, those kind of things add extra chewiness to your cookies. So just a slight adjustment in the amount of fat or sugar or liquid or flour can take you all the way from these simple butter biscuits right to chocolate chip cookie heaven. At this stage, I place the biscuit dough in the fridge to chill and rest. And that also makes it easier for stamping out the cookies using the cookie cutters that I'm going to show you. While the dough's chilling, I'm just going to get my little cookie cutters organized. I find that using any kind of cookie cutter is such a fun way of getting kids involved in baking, even if it's just the bottom of a glass. So now all that's left to do is the fun part of stamping out the cookies. And just make sure that any cookie cutter you use, you stamp really well with some flour so that it doesn't stick to the cookie dough. So these are obviously going to make really large biscuits, so we won't get very many per sheet of biscuit dough. Just make sure that you don't overcrowd the biscuits and cut them too close together, in case there is any spreading while they're in the oven. Then all we do is just peel away the excess dough, and you can roll that out again to make more biscuits, or you can just store it in the freezer. These now just go into an oven that's been preheated to 180 degrees for between 12 and 15 minutes, or until they're lightly golden. Be careful not to overbake your biscuits and cookies, because then they just end up too dry. If you're in doubt, rather take them out slightly early, because they will carry on cooking a little bit on the cooling rack, and then you'll end up with just perfectly crisp or chewy cookies. Just gently lay the biscuits onto a cooling rack. That way you get nice, even air circulation around them, and you'll get nice, crisp biscuits. So thank you for joining me for the lesson on biscuits and cookies. I hope now that you'll try some at home. I'm definitely trying one of these. Don't forget that there's extra recipes available for you, as well as a troubleshooting guide, course notes, and a quiz. And I'll see you in the next lesson.